We're ready to start the week, Sonder family. Good morning. Good morning. I get to be your facilitator this morning. My name is Jennifer Ogilvy, and I am coming to you from the Dallas, Texas area. And it's springtime, and I'm just, we're coming alive with the season. It's so good to welcome you all this morning. Yes, that song is just like it for me. It hits with authenticity and just being true to who you are. And as you know, that is our brand new theme for the month. So you have the former, current, I don't know, we're Team Texas. Katie Gideon, even though she is across the pond, we still call ourselves Team Texas, because when we first started being facilitators, which is, we are on our fourth anniversary. Like right now, it's the season when we were going through our training 4 years ago. Katie was in the Houston area. And so we were in the same time zone and we were in the same state. And so we just call ourselves Team Texas, even though she is now located in Scotland. And Katie, fun fact is that, she was grew up in Oklahoma. So we've always been neighbors, right? Anyway, you've got Katie Gideon on the call in the chat. If you have any questions along the way this morning, she'll do her best to point you in the right direction. And great question. Denise just said, are we doing 4 weeks of mind, like what is the mind map situation? So at the beginning of March, we thought it was going to be 4 weeks of March and then a bonus this week. But since we're on the last day of March, we're going to just go ahead and embrace April and our new theme. So we're going to be doing 4 mind map questions this month. So you'll be setting your mind map up for 4 prompts. And then we're having a bonus at the end of this month before we jump into May. And I just don't even want to talk about May yet. Let's oh, thank you, Carla. Carla was commenting on my lipstick. It's Glossier. Let's see. This is my emergency lipstick. It always lives in my desk. Let's see. It's I can't read it. It's too little. But anyway, it's that Glossier, whatever that. I do the boy brow from there. Anyway, yeah. So, I want to learn how to pronounce your name. Is it Sanji or Sanje? Sanye? Make sure you say that she is back with us. She has been going through some surgical stuff with her tongue, and she's with us this morning. She's feeling better. So send me exactly how to say your name, Sanji. I've been saying Sanji, but I started thinking the other day, I may not be saying that correctly. Anyhow, so you've got Team Texas. Katie's in the chat. If you need anything along the way, make sure that your chat is set to everyone. As you can see, we're already saying good morning to everybody because we're recognizing each other's names in the chat. I'm asking Sonia. Okay, I'll say Sonia. I got it now. Thank you for letting me know. Mom spelled it the wrong way. I love Mom. um, and then, so Sonia, we're glad you're feeling better. We know that you have been on quite the journey for the anticipation of that surgery, and you've been so sweet about sharing with us so that we could send you all the good juju as you get better. Yeah, lots of Dallas folks. Okay, that's great. I'm going to be working on a in-person meetup, probably very late spring and maybe like on a Sunday afternoon so that we can meet up and touch each other and give each other a hug. So I'm glad you're here. So yes, so Team Texas, make sure your chat is set to everybody. I think that might be the big make sure I got all the announcements done. Of course, we want to always give that shout out to our personal life coach that you can have. If you haven't checked it out, I think there's another event, possibly could be this Thursday. I'll be helping with that. I'll be doing the stage, the behind the scenes stuff. But come and get some more information if you're still on the fence about that. And India was grabbing a cheese stick. Oh, we keep those. I have like a whole dispenser, India, because of the grandkids. They come in and the immediate thing they do is they need a snack. Is there anybody here for the very first time at a weekly setup? A lot of us, I'm seeing the names. I think we are hanging out. together. We know each other's the Monday group, right? But if there's anybody here for the first time, just drop a me in the chat. This is a cameras off, mics off event. You are in control of your volume. If you don't like a song, not, knock that volume down. If you don't want to look at listen to me, knock the volume down. And I'll be sharing lots of ways to set up your journal. Carlene says that she's new to the Monday group. So welcome. We're glad to have you. Um, we are going to be sharing lots of examples. I know most of us just kind of carve out this appointment with each other. So we're doing the same thing that we're normally doing, but this is the accountability group. I've said it's like when I was a very serious, like several miles a day walker in the morning, when my friend showed up at the front door, I got out of bed and I went and did the thing. Left to my own devices, I would have hit the snooze, not gotten up, right? So this is our accountability that we are with each other. So, keep this appointment with yourself. There's our community guidelines before I go off this slide. We are starting April journal correct, Leanne. There's only one day in this week in March. So this is all about April. Mind map is a new mind map. Good question. So we do share these community guidelines because we create safe spaces whenever we're together, but you are so encouraged to reach out to one another. We have some wonderful virtual relationships, right? And they may be virtual, but they are real. And so we've gotten to know each other through our times together. So this is a very safe space. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself anytime you're doing journal work. And so, you have that power of going, oh, I'm going to wait on this one, and that's okay. Anyways, Nicole is a sister from another mister. Yeah, we just really have found our people, right? I always play that song by Drew Holcomb, Find Your People. We did it when we you know, found our Silk and Sonder folks. So we are looking at authenticity this month, and I can say that 20-year-old Jennifer, 40-year-old Jennifer probably struggled with authenticity, being true to myself and not worrying about others as long as I felt like I was doing the right thing and being the right person. I'm in such a different place in this later chapter of my life. Like, I mean, there really is. I was telling Katie, my mother-in-law would say, "Oh, I can go ask that question. Nobody's going to tell an old lady to say, that kind of thing. Like, just that confidence of who you are when you've but I can tell you 20-year-old me was killing myself trying to please everybody and make everybody happy, right? And not truly being authentic to what my gut was telling me. I was too much of a people pleaser, that didn't do me any services. So I know I'm in a little bit different place in my older years with this idea of authenticity. So I'm hoping that maybe, as we gather this month and start digging in, if you're in some places that you're working on staying true to yourself, setting really good boundaries, that maybe this authenticity will really help you um, just have this lens of why those boundaries are important and why saying no is important and what you say yes to and how you're spending that energy. Again, I can look at very different stages of my life and know that I'm probably more authentic now, but also I've been working Silk and Sonder in my life for 4 years and doing some of that. So, we'll the let them theory. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Yes, the buzz is going in the chat. That's a really good book. I listened to it on audio so that I could hear Mel read it, and it's wonderful. And it's like it was really kind of nothing new because like we know, like just let them be. But oh, to hear it's just so good. So that's a very good shout out read for authenticity this month. Brene Brown, I'm a big fan. Um, she is part of the University of Houston system. That's my alumni. That's where I finished up school. And I have gotten to see Brene in person, which was amazing. But she's all about getting rid of shame, living with authenticity, being brave, and really truly being your own self. And so this quote is from her: authenticity is the daily practice. It's a daily practice. It's not going to just, of letting go who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. And so for me, that is, yes, Kenyatta, I know it does. It brings up those itchy, scratchy, sticky points of who we are. And so I think, we may be doing some really good heavy work this month, right? Again, take care of yourself as you're doing that. Be gentle. So this morning we're going to start off our brand new authenticity mind map. We're going to do our rosebud thorn reflection and our weekly setup pages, where I've got some examples for you to see if you're looking at doing something different in your journal, but you may already have your rhythm. And so please just embrace that. So, of course, embrace this mind map. It is a deeper dig into our theme. We do it every single month. It's kind of your bonus prompt for coming to the weekly setups, that you're going to get this mind map of a deeper look at the theme and how it affects your life. So we've got 4 weeks. So you'll want 4 spaces. And week number 1 is authenticity through this lens of personal. How do you know when you're being truly authentic to yourself? Reflect on a recent situation where you felt inauthentic. I think, looking at both sides of that coin is very important. And then what contributed to that feeling, and what could you do differently next time? I mean, we are really diving in with the work this time. So there's my mind map. Y'all know I've been on my cookie cutter craze. So I just dropped my cookie cutter. I get painted the edges and do. But the cookie cutters are a fun way of setting it up. I'm not super creative in my journal. I do a lot of black ink. But I do get a little creative with my authenticity, or with my mind map. So there's mine. You can use your last page in your journal. It makes it really easy to find it. Any notes page or weekly scratch pad, and go week to week. Maybe just sticky notes so that you can carry it around and move it where you need to see it. You might want to jump on that quote page. It's really up to you where you set this up. Again, it's not in your journal. This is your bonus prompt. So as I was thinking about this prompt, I thought, again, 20-year-old Jennifer would have answered this so much more differently than 60-year-old Jennifer. I feel like I'm so much more comfortable in my skin and who I am, and in every way. I'm not too much. If you can leave, if you can leave if I'm too much for you, that kind of thing. Like, I have a better mind frame, but 20-year-old me wouldn't have. 40-year-old me was still struggling and trying to be all the things. So I started thinking about, let's see if we can get a framework that might make it easier to consider this prompt this week. And so that's what you see on the right of this screen. Like, maybe kind of dig into, what did you notice about your emotions and how you were feeling at that moment? If you had stayed true to yourself, you would have, what steps would you have taken? And help you, the words I wish I had said, the actions I wish I had taken, and then what that moment taught you, and then how you can move forward with that. So maybe this framework will help you. You may already know what you want to put on this page. Um, but if you're struggling, maybe this, grab a screenshot, and you can maybe even work on this throughout the week as you're considering, when you're being truly authentic to yourself. And of course, this quote: always stay true to yourself. Some people will like it, some people won't. Life goes on. So since it is our first week, I'll put a little extra bonus minute and a half of music into our time frame, just so that you have time to set this up. And just kind of go with the flow. Think about, what is the self-talk that comes into your mind? Do you have trouble with body image? Maybe that's it. Maybe there's something about a thing in your past where, there was a situation where there were some hurt feelings between you and a person. And maybe that pops up when something else happens. It's the little script that comes into your head. So kind of think about, maybe some of those things that make you feel a little less than you are. So I'm going to stop talking, put on some music. as you're working through this, feel free to share in the chat maybe the things that are coming up for you because it will support other folks too while they're working. Like I said, we are kicking off with a deep thoughts on Monday morning for week one. We haven't even, gotten our baby spoons of it. So let's try to dive into this idea of authenticity and how we know when we're being our true selves.
May we trust in the process of life to let go and let grow. May we trust in the process of life to let go what we know. next? May we open our hearts to accept what is next, what is next. May we cross the abyss of our fears with a mind that is clear. May we cross the abyss of our fears with a mind that is clear. May we trust in the process of life, to let go and let grow. May we trust in the process of life, to let go what we know. May we open our hearts to accept what is next, what is next. May we open our hearts to accept what is next, what is next. May we cross the abyss of our fears with a mind that is clear. May we cross the abyss of our faith with a mind that is clear, mind that is clear, mind that is clear. With a mind that is clear.
Okay, we are really thank you so much for what's going on in the chat. Oh my goodness. You guys are such a supportive group of one another, which I love. But also, you're really starting to dig into yourself. And again, I think this is going to be this journey this month. So, some months are just fun and frolicky. And we're like, oh, this is such a fun month of play. And then we have months like this. It's like, whoo, this month was exhausting. It was good, but it was it was exhausting. So I think we're really going to be doing a lot of this deep diving this month. And you can see in the chat how important I think this gathering with one another it is beneficial, how beneficial it is for us because we've got everybody's on this journey, right? And we're figuring it out. We're figuring it out together, not alone. So thanks for the contributions in the chat. Again, like Katie said, you don't have to fill this out right now. You can let it. I said sometimes some of these, it needs to kind of pinball around in your mind all week and sort of, bonk, 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 and let it just kind of jot down notes and maybe sit with it a little bit later. So thanks for starting off Monday with with me. Let's stop for a moment and take a look at our last week's reflections, right? It was our last week in our March journal, which was, vitality. We're finishing it up, saying it goodbye. So you're going to want to turn to page 56 in your March journal. Now, if you're here and you don't have your March journal, you can do your rosebud thorn reflection on, the notes page. It can be done in a space for that as we consider last week. Of course, we want to take a look at our roses. What are we celebrating that was good, that brought us good energy, that made us happy, that made us proud? And I love the idea of embracing your rose to uplift your spirit and inspire others. And then the bud is that new thing that's to come. And it could be as simple as new week. It's a brand new week. It's a brand new morning. But this helps us kind of cultivate that growth mindset, like looking forward. And then of course the thorn are the tough things, some struggles, and then thinking about what those struggles will teach me, right? What can I learn from it? And so, mine, I kept the grands for the weekend. I was very, very, very tired last night when I went to bed. But in addition to getting to have them, which is so great, they're all under 7. So 3 very busy kiddos. My nephew, who is in the National Guard, is going to some training, and he's down in Kingsville, which is way down at the bottom of Texas, and he was driving up to Missouri, and we were his halfway point, sort of. And he got to spend the night. So my grown-up my grown-up man-child got to hang with us as well, and that really did my heart good. I had not seen him in a while because my husband gets to see him when they hunt, but I hadn't seen him in a good while, so that just made my heart so happy. My bud is I have a brand new sewing student this week. I'm kinda doing a little bit of a cottage business, sharing my passions with others, so I have a new student that I'll be starting with this week. And then my thorn was one of my very best friends who actually lives here. She moved from Houston. Also, her mother passed away, and her mother was out of state. And my friend went to just go take care of some things, right, to kind of help boost her parents, and didn't realize she was going there to plan her mother's funeral. And so that was just really hard, and my heart hurts for her. She's had a lot of heartache in her life in the last couple of years, and so I've been just, trying to love on her, but it's hurt my heart because I love her so much. So that's mine. I'd love to know yours. Share in the chat. Let's support each other, give each other, those cheers for the good things, but also let us help you carry the things that are tough. Right. Good job with that reflection. And thank you for just loving on each other through those things that were a little tougher. Denise, new month. Yeah, did nothing in your March journal. It's okay. It's okay. We have seasons like that. And that's a good time for me to just remind you that you should see my March journal because my husband got that new knee, and so there's hiccups, right? I did a couple things, I didn't touch it. Um, it's okay. This is a point of data also, right? Like there's some good stuff in here as we're working through things and doing those prompts, and then we set ourselves up in the week for our productivity and how those goals, but it's data. And if it didn't get done, that is also part of your story in your journal, right? Empty spaces mean, okay, what was going on in my life? And that moment of like looking at that. So it's okay. It's okay. And then we have, we have this new idea. Maya, I worked with Maya. I think it was Friday evening, and Maya said, it's almost like for her, April is almost like the true new year, right? Because like we come off the holidays, we've been wintering, we're still wintering, and then our time changes, the days get a little longer, things start blooming. She says, I feel like I'm more inspired for that newness and that idea of new year when April hits. So think about that. Think of like that reset. You can Q2 may be your new year time, right? We're done with Q1. Let's embrace a new year. You can set your year up starting in Q2 if that's what meets your needs. So let's get on with it. So here's our weekly planner. We'll be on pages 26 and 27 in our new journal. I heard lots of the purple fans are loving the month, right? The colors that of the purples are hitting so beautifully this month. Here are two examples of completed page ones of our setup. You can see that some folks have, like, you can see one way I want to feel is better. This other person did just a fun little crossword like type how do I want to feel. Three major goals are set up differently. The to-do list, again, hers is, the one on the left is a chore list. The one on the right is just that reminder about doing 1% better, which is an idea from James Clear in Atomic Habits, just a little better every day. The habits and activities, they filled out every line. You don't have to fill out every line. But the one on the left, there are no goals set. We're just tracking. The one on the right, there are goals set. They made it kind of fun doing a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So there's a lot of difference in how people are setting this up to meet what they need, right? So we are going to start because Sonia's already saying she wants to be healthy, happy, and hearty. We're going to start looking at those feelings now. If you're here for the first time or you're looking at maybe some ideas to change up any of these spaces, this is not exhaustive. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are things that I've seen Sonder family do. So grab a screenshot of maybe some of these that, I always have a garden tracker this time of year. I make a little bingo board with all my garden tasks because I'm a gardener. So, you might want to put that in one of your spaces this week, but again, not exhaustive. So we're going to go over here. Let's see. Oh yes, and there's lots of fun things this week. So grab a screenshot of that if you like to make your days a little more fun. Today is crayon day. We should have done, I wish it were a coloring social because I love that. Of course, tomorrow's April Fool's Day, but also sourdough bread day. The 5th is play outside day. And deep dish pizza day. So maybe it's a good time to take a pizza picnic somewhere. But I always like to think about how can I bring a little joy and playfulness into my days, and that's a really good way to frame that out. Or using those alliteration days, just to, make you a little more cognizant of what you're doing on those days. Alrighty, so self-care starts on Monday. This is a graphic just for you all because we do this every Monday together, and I thought that would be kind of a fun thing for you to maybe incorporate somewhere in your journal. Yes, it is, Melissa. Tomorrow's Autism Awareness Day. But you might want to grab a screenshot. I love this. Walk outside, look at the clouds, inhale a scent you love, do a mini declutter, take a different way to work or a different route to your destinations. Just see if you discover something else. Give yourself a little treat and unplug and unwind. So you might want to grab that, a de-stress Monday. I love the idea of starting our week off that way. All righty. Also, let's do a quick mental health check-in. How are you feeling right now? Right now at this moment? Joyful, frustrated, down, loved, exhausted, grateful. I might be using the exhausted emoticon because of my kiddos. So grab that. How are you feeling right now at this moment? Joyful, yay, put that in there. And just, just kind of you missed the last screenshot. I'll get it back to you. I'll go back through that when we're working on this page. Don't you worry about that. I'll scroll through all of these. So think about do a check-in with yourself right now at this moment. I'm seeing some frustrated, some grateful. Okay, now take that feeling and we're going to dive into how you want to feel this week. And so we're really being authentic with ourselves, doing this check-in, and now we're going to bring that forward into the week. Do we need to change something? Do we want to bring that forward? Think of a negative feeling you may be experiencing or that's been in your recent past, and then how can we turn that into a positive feeling? These couple of graphics are kind of neat, and 4 questions to help you move through some emotions. How am I feeling right now? How are my feelings impacting me? What are my options for dealing with that situation? And what is one values aligned step I could take? So, really, not just throwing that feeling out there, but really thinking about how that feeling can set you up for the week. So, again, another good screenshot to grab, but I will go back to this when we're working on this. So let's look at our weekly to-dos and our weekly goals. I'm going to point you back. We just filled these things out. So let's really use them to frame out our week. Go look at the stop, start, and continue box on page 8 and your intentions. And let's figure out ways we can incorporate all those things in our goals, our to-dos, or maybe some of those habits down in the habits and activity space. We worked on it. I tend to not look at that, and so I'm going to call it out so that we can make sure that that is our guiding compass for the week. I'll go back through all of these. Here are those some great ways to frame out getting some of the things done. We have the Pomodoro method. We have the 3-3-3 method of spending 3 hours working on an important project and then doing 3 shorter urgent tasks and 3 maintenance tasks that will help keep you running smoothly. That Eisenhower matrix for those long to-do lists to help you sort through. I actually used the Eisenhower matrix a couple of weeks ago because I took on too many things and I couldn't get it straight. So I got my important and urgent things put in that space to help me prioritize. Eat the frog is that idea of doing the one thing you don't want to do. The Seinfeld strategy, you set your goal, you mark a calendar each day you do it. Keep that streak and try not to miss 2 days. So I love that. And then, of course, the time blocking. I'll go back through to this. And I also love that Pomodoro, like India said, because there's something about that time constraint that's on there and that timer's going off. It makes me work fast and efficient. Here's how some folks have taken their goals and their to-dos and planned them out in their journal just so that you can see. There's the idea of looking every day. There's a little accountability check place on the one on the left. We've got a bingo on the bottom one on the left. And then the one on the right, those to-dos are in alignment with the goals. So your to-do list may support those goals directly, kind of depends on what you've got going on. Again, some more ideas of how to set that up. Or you can just repurpose that space and put a quote there that's going to help drive your week. And then let's drop down to the bottom and look at that habit and activity space. And then we'll work on this page. And then I'll go to the next page and I'll show you examples for that. So I love the idea of looking at our habits and activities, the habities, as Maya coined that, in the way of what you do now, present you, impacts future you. You are giving a gift to yourself when you are sticking with those goals, those habits, those activities for the week. And so there's that great little fun graphic. I love how she's celebrating. Past Fran is the best. And yay, past Fran did it again. And so those things that bring you joy. Remember, we can't practice compassion with other people if we don't treat ourselves kindly. So again, being authentic to yourself and filling those needs that you have. So here's how some folks have set this activity and habit space up. I always call out that one that's got the circle up there in the left, night walk with audiobook. That's called a habit stack when you do two things that connect to each other, and it kind of helps you get both of them done because they're connected with one another. It's a great way to start a new habit. Pair it with something that you're already doing, and you don't mark it off until they're both complete. Some folks track goals, some folks do not use a goal. You can see that shout out the one in the middle, eat the frog, that idea of being efficient and just doing the thing you don't want to do it. I think there was a quote in last month's journal. It's Amelia Earhart. She says, the best way to do something is to do something, right? Just to do it. Um, you don't have to fill out all the spaces and you don't have to track every single day. See the one over there on the right in the middle? This is a person who is traveling and or leaving, and they're just not going to worry about Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're focusing on the days and then they're giving themselves a break. So that's important that you do as well. And then some ideas for some habits if you're trying to add something to that, to your regular habits. Here's some great examples. This is on our Silk and Sonder Instagram page. And then here's some inspiration that from a list I've just put together from the stuff that you do. So I'm going to put on some music. I'm going to go back to the beginning of this page, go through all these slides again. Feel free to grab a screenshot. You might not even use something this week, but you want to grab a screenshot so you can look over it and think about how you could incorporate it. And then I will come back and we will work on the second page. And yeah, eat the frog. That's that stuff we just don't want to do. I have a lot of eat the frogs on the last week of the month because it's stuff I wanted to get done and I just kept putting it off, but moving those things from one week to the other, and it feels so good to get them done. So let me put on some music while you work on this. Again, I'll go through these, grab some screenshots if there's something that speaks to you or something you want to think about a little bit more. Then we'll work on our second page and finish up. we have our first page of the week set up. So we're going to look at that second page. But there was some conversation. Carla shared that, she had to say goodbye to Tree. And she said, I've just been sad and I feel silly. It's not, it's just, and you guys have supported her and how she's feeling. But it made me remember many, 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 many years ago, my husband and I did like a marriage retreat thing. And that was probably the very beginning of my healing journey about feelings. And I was taught your feelings aren't right and your feelings aren't wrong. Your feelings just are. And you never have to justify how you feel, right? You never have to, you just feel that. And so they just are. They're not right, they're not wrong. They're just your feelings are. They live there, and then it's the steps that you take later, right? To embrace those feelings. So anyway, there's just that. All righty. So, yeah, it was big, 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 big for me to realize that I didn't have to justify how I felt. It was okay to feel that way, which I was not brought up in that kind of a home. So big, big healing moment. So here is page two, and here are some ways to kind of frame this out. The meal plan section, right? That meal, oh my goodness, we love it because there's those great ways to those big spaces that are there to fill out. So you can see how folks are using that. They're not using it as a meal planner. You can absolutely use it as a meal planner, but other folks are setting that up. So let's take a look at again some repurposing ideas, some images of our fellow Silk and Sonder users. So grab screenshots if something's hollering at you. To like there's a clothing tracker, the meal plan for my soul. You see that every once in a while in these setups because we love that idea of a meal plan for my soul. Some other ways to set that up. Again, it's going to be taking what you need for these spaces. The mind body health plan. I always feel like this is my selfish space, the things I'm going to do to really bring myself joy or to be authentic. So you can see how folks have set this up. They can be a little mini journal reflection each day, a little bingo board, whatever is speaking to you, the one on the bottom right over there, they're just kind of doing that National Day of idea, just to bring a little fun and frivolity to their week. The idea of how do I feel? What do I need? Reflection. That could be a morning check-in. That could be an evening close the day reflection. Um, Always speaking to that 7 types of rest. I did 2 little images there that show you how folks, there's the 7 types of rest, and here's how this person took that to the next step. I love the one in the upper left, tidy and sleep. I'm just going to try to get things clean and I'm going to get my good rest this week. 2 things all the days. And then of course that shopping list lends itself perfectly to any kind of a grid, a tracker. If you're not going to use it for a shopping list, we love a bingo board because when we gamify our life, it makes it fun to get those tasks done. So you see lots of bingos here, lots of lists. The one at the bottom, they're using that fun alliteration like that Mother Nature Monday, Tech Free Tuesday, just again, a little more of a focus idea. And then finally, what are you loving? So let's put on some music and finish this page up, and then we'll say goodbye to each other. Go have a rockin' first week of April. Thank you so much for starting your week off with your fabulous Sonder family. It's gonna be a really, really good month. We're gonna be doing the work. Now, this has been recorded. You'll probably be able to access the recording to this, maybe later today, but also there were some setups this weekend, so you could go look at one of those. Katie's gonna drop those links in the chat so that you can grab that. I am on Spotify, and I make a playlist every month, and it gets bigger and bigger and more chaotic as the as the month goes on. And so let me copy that link. I'll put that there if you want to go check out the Spotify authenticity list from Ogilvy here. And we'd love to see your weekly setup or a section of your weekly setup. Did you try something new? Go put that in there. Let us see. There's our playlist. Um, Y'all, it's going to be a great week. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you at another social very soon.
It doesn't matter if you love him or capital H-I-M. Just put your paws up, 'cause you were born this way, baby. My mama told me when I was young.